As MMA has gained popularity over the past few decades, more and more fighters have become wrestlers and vice versa. Ring Chronicles is here to list the top 10 wrestlers who have MMA experience. This list focuses mostly on wrestlers and MMA fighters who have competed in the U.S., as Japan has its own rich history of both MMA fighters and professional wrestlers. Starting off with number 10, Shayna Baszler. MMA accolades include a record of 15-11, which includes 4 knockouts, 6 submissions, and 5 decisions. She is the former Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight Champion from 2008 to 2010. Notable victories include Julia Budd and Amanda Nunes. While Shayna Baszler has not had the main roster success she had in NXT, her long run as NXT Women's Champion is arguably legendary. Shayna is an underrated wrestler, and Ronda Rousey passed the torch to her in her last match of her WWE career. There's still time for the WWE to capitalize on her abilities. Number 9, Dan the Beast Severn. MMA record 101, 19, and 7. Notable promotions include UFC and Pride. UFC Hall of Famer, one of the first pro wrestlers to successfully compete in MMA. Dan Severn is known for his WWE career as well as being a former NWA champion in the 90s. While he never had the success that Ken Shamrock had, he was still a pioneer of MMA fighters transitioning to the wrestling ring during a time that this was a difficult transition for most. Number 8, Ken Shamrock. MMA record 28, 17, and 2. Notable promotions, UFC and Pride. Highlights include UFC Hall of Famer and one of MMA's earliest stars. Had notable rivalries with Royce Gracie and Tito Ortiz. Ken Shamrock is a former Intercontinental Champion who was a pioneer of MMA fighters becoming wrestlers. While his lack of charisma kept him from going farther than the IC title, he had a legendary career in wrestling nonetheless. Number 7, Bam Bigelow. MMA record 0-1. Notable promotions, Japan. Fought Kimo Leopoldo in 1996, lost the bout in Japan. I never really considered Bam Bigelow an MMA fighter. He nonetheless fought in Japan, dipping his toes into the world of MMA. Nonetheless, he will always be known for his legendary career in wrestling, headlining WrestleMania 11 at the top of his career against Lawrence Taylor. Bam Bigelow would also have successful runs in WCW and ECW. Number 6, Samoa Joe. While he hasn't fought professionally, he has trained extensively in MMA and incorporates it into his wrestling style. While Samoa Joe is not known as an MMA fighter, the influence of MMA on his wrestling style is unmistakable. With legendary runs in TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE, and AEW, he successfully brought an MMA influence to modern wrestling. Unfortunately, the WWE never knew how to correctly use Samoa Joe. I blame Vince McMahon for this. Fortunately, AEW knew what to do with him, as he had a run as AEW champion relatively recently. Number 5, Shinsuke Nakamura. MMA record 3-1. Notable promotions, New Japan Pro Wrestling MMA, which was Inoki's MMA phase. While he is a Japanese wrestler and this list focuses on wrestlers in America, Shinsuke has wrestled enough in the U.S. to include him on the list. At the top of his career, he was a Royal Rumble winner and fought against AJ Styles at WrestleMania in 2018. Nonetheless, the WWE has done very little with him as he's become stuck on the mid-card, which is a shame as Shinsuke is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the WWE at the moment. Number 4, Ronda Rousey. MMA accolades include UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion 2012 to 2016. First female fighter to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame in 2018. UFC record of 12-2, which includes 6 knockouts, 3 submissions, and 3 decisions. Notable victories include Miesha Tate and Sarah McMahon. Pioneer of women's MMA, widely credited with helping bring women's MMA to the forefront. Ronda Rousey's WWE career received a mixed reaction from wrestling critics. She was thrown into the deep very quickly with poor mic skills and very little charisma. Nonetheless, she dominated women's wrestling, winning multiple championships and having memorable feuds. Since leaving wrestling, she has been very critical of the WWE. Overall, her legacy as a wrestler is positive, as she worked harder than she needed with the popularity she had, and helped continue a great legacy of women's wrestling in the modern era. Number 3, Bobby Lashley. MMA record, 15-2. Notable promotions, Bellator and Strikeforce. Highlights, known for his strong wrestling skills and heavy ground game, remained a top contender in Bellator. Bobby Lashley has always been uncanny in his physical ability, and this aided him in the world of MMA. His career in the WWE is legendary, albeit at times the WWE underutilized him. The WWE also pulled the plug too early in the popular Hurt Business faction. While he was successful, I'd love to know more about why he made the jump from the WWE to AEW. I hope he is successful there. Number 2, CM Punk. MMA record, 0-2 with 1 no contest. debuted at UFC 203, lost both of his official fights. What is there really to say about CM Punk? What a strange career. He found success during the PG era as an alternative to John Cena, during a time where there weren't many alternatives. He created some controversy along the way and then leaves wrestling in 2014. He tries his hand at MMA. Perhaps due to his age, his MMA career is cut short, but hey, at least he tried, right? He then, out of nowhere, shows up in AEW in 2021, where he has a successful career there until more controversy. He then leaves AEW and comes back to the WWE in 2023. Will CM Punk have his WrestleMania moment he desires? Time will tell. Number 1, Brock Lesnar. MMA record, 5-3 with 1 no contest. Notable promotion, UFC. Highlights, former UFC heavyweight champion, notable wins over Randy Couture and Frank Mir. Brock Lesnar has basically been canceled, but for historical reasons, I could not leave him off the list. He had a very successful career in the WWE until he left in 2004. He then tried his hand at football before going to MMA in 2007. I'm not an MMA fan, but it pleased me greatly to see Lesnar be so successful. Many people underestimated Lesnar due to him coming from a, quote, fake, unquote, sport. Yet he became UFC champion and quit before it became too late. He would then return to wrestling in a part-time role where he would have more championship victories, a 2022 Royal Rumble win, and would end the streak of The Undertaker at WrestleMania. He would include being an MMA fighter into his wrestling persona and perfectly merge the two. His legendary career is, however, mired in controversy due to his alleged connection to the Vince McMahon scandal, and we may never see him wrestle again. And that is it for our top 10 wrestlers who are MMA fighters. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications for more wrestling content. Until next time.